Hi everyone, Joseph here, and today I just wanted to talk about a couple of my experiences with the Qb3 Boot Camp. I wanted to also show you how I write my blog posts on chakanin.blog and just go over a couple of thoughts that I had today. So the first thing I'm going to start off with is the Qb3 Boot Camp, which I think was an awesome experience. So today it ran from approximately 9 to 5 p.m. and I had a couple pictures that I got. And he's just pouring out some agar media, and we were just making basically like a little plate of food for the bacteria to grow on. And then so also we worked with some micropipetters here, and the agar we put in these Erlenmeyer flasks. And over here is where we put our reagents. We're talking about like our buffering agents. We're talking about our binding buffer. We're talking about the antibiotics. They all went into like these little aliquots, and we just store them there. This was not my first time using a setup like this. It was actually in my microbiology lab that I had, the intro lab that I had, um, not last semester, the semester before, so in the fall, where we used similar setup. So it actually wasn't my first time. I could like kind of feel my way around the lab. So I thought that was kind of cool. So this was one of the earlier parts of the day where we talked about pipette pointillism, which is pointillism is apparently a type of artwork where you draw with tiny little dots that I googled before going to the Qb3 Bootcamp. I think this was really quite awesome. It wasn't a whole bunch of new stuff, but I think it was really quite a fun experience. And a couple of the people there already had like 5-6 years of research, and I was like, dang, some of these people are like hecka accomplished, and I thought that was kind of cool. Um, and here are two of our instructors, Ben Horst and Nicholas McClenty. Forgive me for forgetting name. And they're showing us how to use an autoclave. This autoclave here was broken, but I personally have never used an autoclave, and they're just talking about sterilizing our media. So if you remember back to when I was talking or reading Microbe Hunters, they were talking about how Pasteur was boiling his media so that nothing would grow inside. And yeah, so I thought that was hecka interesting, and I thought that was kind of cool and a little bit exciting. It was like a window back into the previous ages where um, we just had to essentially make sure the media had nothing growing in it, and I thought that was kind of cool. Okay, so I just wanted to go over this blog post that I wrote. I wrote actually today is the 20th. Wrote about maybe a month ago, and this was a article that was meant to be a review of my interview with Professor Toga, Professor Michi Toga, who is going to be my PI in the fall. And when I like to write my titles, I like to pick something fairly catchy. In this case, I picked a quote that she. The reason I did this was because the main point that I got out of the article was that um, just being in science doesn't mean that you have to be famous. Doesn't mean that you have to do spectacular work. You just have to do solid work that other people can focus on, build on. That's really what science is like, building a foundation. So just as a brief note, so the first thing I want to start off with was something that really captured my perception of her, just as a teacher, because I took her class, as well as a PI. And that was the question, or like asking why researchers can't just do research and teachers can't just do teaching. Because at any academic institution, professors get a little bit of both, right? But especially at research institutions like Berkeley, there is this emphasis and importance that's placed on research that tends to de-emphasize the quality of education that's necessary for undergraduates. Well, I'm not saying that is completely terrible. I'm just saying that there's certainly a semi-low bar for quality coursework that professors have to do. So what really surprised me was that this teacher would go out of her way, and she just made sure that she could really connect with students. And what I highlighted here was that, or I'll just read what I wrote. It's not common to see professors wield white chalk nowadays, but she is one of a select few that continues to do so. In an age where biology is synonymous with PowerPoint, nothing quite catches a student's eye like a professor who writes things out with them. It fosters learning at a reasonable pace and a sense of solidarity with students. It's most certainly slower, but it signified to me a strong passion for teaching. It was one of the most memorable traits of the class. So Professor Toga really, not only did she go out of her way to ask me or to encourage my interest in the sciences, like she encouraged me to go to this talk about building microbial communities in cheese by, I believe, Rachel Dutton. And I think that was that was really interesting. I looked over the PowerPoint slides because I wasn't able to go that day because I had to teach. But I thought that was kind of cool. Like it was talking about like wet cheese versus dry cheese and how different microbial communities consistently showed up within the cheese rinds. So um, this is a mentor. I was really lucky that she was willing to go out of her way to help me foster like just a general interest in the sciences, because there's like when you come to Berkeley, you'll realize that there's like huge amounts of students there, and to distinguish yourself, you either have to be like really stellar academically, or like you just have to have like a passion where you're just going after something that you do care about. And for me, that's bacteria. Even though I found that somewhat late in my intro microbiology class, I was just like, I don't know, I never really hit that interest early on. But she talked to me a little bit about her early academic career at Princeton as an undergrad. Let me double check to make sure. Yeah. So then she said at Princeton she was doing vesicle trafficking, and she worked with Bonnie Bassler, who is known for her talks on how bacteria talk and quorum sensing. And I think I've talked about her a bit, but she did when she was doing her rotations. Like as you know, biological systems aren't always necessarily innocuous, and when she was working on salmonella in the lab on a little small project, she contracted salmonella. And if we look here, like behind every really great biology, let me see. Well, that's also my teacher that I had, Melis. He's a heck of a funny teacher. He's also really chill. He likes to use a chalkboard. I really like that about him. But this one's primarily about Professor Toga. Let me plug this in real quick. My computer is ready to pass out. All right, here we go. All right, yeah. So she was working with salmonella. She contracted salmonella typhimurium, which is a human pathogen, if I do recall from my bacterial pathogenesis class. And like for salmonella, we should see. Oh, there we go. 2004 salmonella. 2003. So you can tell that like behind every story or behind every discovery in biology, let me say that, sorry, I was being imprecise. Behind every discovery in biology, there's like a small story, and she contracted salmonella typhimurium. I thought that was hecka funny. So, according to Professor Toga, she said that looking for postdoc work was pretty informal. She said she worked at MIT. I think she said she wanted to work on host-pathogen interactions, and she learned a little bit of enzymology and branched out to biochemistry at Chris Walsh's lab. And essentially afterwards, she came here, and she said that the academic career for different people might be a little bit different, but the culture surrounding postdocs currently looks for people that can improve their adventures by doing something different, something in a different field. So what that probably means is that if you started off in biology, we started off doing straight microbiology, then maybe you can branch out into biochemistry, you can branch out into a little bit of biophysics. Like she just said that, what the academic sphere of influence right now is looking for are people that are multidisciplinary and are willing to step out of their comfort range and just talk about something that they may not, or just delve into a field that they may not entirely be ready for, because people like people that can adapt, So anyways, after she talked about her background in the sciences, and she's a remarkably humble lady. She said that if she was working now, that she probably wouldn't get in which I find hard to believe. But after that, who I wrote in my article here that it was done by a postdoc in the lab that left, and I was mistaken because at one of the parties, or at a party for the lab, I do believe I got to meet her in person, although I'm not quite so sure. So, anyways, we read about a paper that was looking for candidate genes to the benzimidazole biosynthesis, and it showed that this precursor molecule air fed into the pathway, and they used genetics to demonstrate the pathway using mutants. So essentially, if I recall, she used like HPLC, which is high performance liquid chromatography, to confirm whether or not the analogs of the compound were being created. As well as that, Professor Toga was like really excited because she said she got to make some double mutants, and that's heck exciting, I guess, for a PI who doesn't get to sit down at the lab bench anymore. I mean, I guess if you're a PI, a principal investigator, your job is mainly to write grants, do lots of paperwork, set up like materials, write lectures for classes, and doing the good old like lab bench work is something that I guess you don't get to do very often. So I was just very lucky that I got to meet someone like her. Yeah. So on the topic of mentorship, I'm just really appreciative of the opportunities that has been given to me, and I'm kind of scared actually, because as you all know, I've been studying for the MCAT day in day out, and what I realized was that the Qb3 Boot Camp was taking a heck of a long time. Like if I spent my entire week at the Qb3 Boot Camp this week, I'd be behind by, I would say, like probably good 40 hours. I already lost about like 12 hours today, 11 hours today of studying, and yeah, I guess there's a sense of disappointment because I had to tell Professor Toga, who I have deep admirations for, and my grad student, what's going to happen. And like I feel like in some part it was because I couldn't say no, or I didn't have the audacity or the courage to say no earlier, because I knew what was coming up. I knew that it was going to be tough, and also because I had this added contribution of like teaching undergrad labs. So then my schedule went from like 6 to 7, wake up and then leave, and then 8 I had like a lab meeting, and then 9 to 5 I had Qb3 boot camp, and then 6 to 10 I had to teach the undergrads. That I just really felt overwhelmed. And like tomorrow is the lab meeting. Tomorrow I'm gonna see her face to face. But like sometimes when we're most afraid, it's when our courage is truly tested. And I just want to say that I honestly signed up for more than I thought I could, or I signed up for more than I thought. What's the word? Oh man, it's getting late. It's almost 1. But I signed up for more than I could have actually taken on, and I'm deeply apologetic. But really, my friend said not to worry too much, and hopefully she'll be forgiving tomorrow. But sometimes it just feels like you have a lot of things left incomplete, and this article here is not published, is just sitting in my drafts, and I just wanted to talk about it because I felt a responsibility to, once I said I was going to do something, to finish it. And this article has been sitting here waiting here. It might feel sometimes like I told a friend today that you just leave behind a whole bunch of failures, a whole bunch of things that you said that you would do, promises that you said you'll keep, and that's fundamentally okay, because we stumble, we fail, and if we cannot learn to forgive, then there can be no progress. So I just want to say that today I'm really scared. I'm really nervous about what my PI and my grad students are going to say, even though they might not care at all. But I just wanted to reaffirm that I really, really enjoy medicine, and I also really, really enjoy microbiology. And that in my heart of hearts, I know that I'm inching closer and closer to that goal. And that's all that really matters, at least in my heart. And for you, the viewer, I hope that if you have a strong conviction and know that what you're doing is what you truly want, and that sometimes you'll stumble, sometimes you'll fail, sometimes you'll make promises that you can't keep, then it's okay, as long as you can demonstrate to the people that you care that that's what you want, really, truly, at the end of the day. So this is Joseph signing out at the end of a long day, and I will see you all in maybe a little bit, maybe a week. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.